Let's be clear. The party that was focused on culture wars, the party that was focused on trans people, was the Republican Party. It was Donald Trump. It was the $100 million, $200 million that they spent on television ads. But I want to be clear, I do not believe, from what I've seen in Delaware, that voters in my state were responding to those attacks. Delaware is in the Philadelphia media market, so we were seeing those ads that Donald Trump clearly prioritized and focused in with regard to the culture wars.
There's obviously a lot of soul searching right now going on within the Democratic Party, and that's a good thing. But what I worry about is that in the course of all that soul searching, some Democrats might reach the wrong sweeping conclusions. And there are a lot of issues that fall into that bucket. But one in particular that stuck out to me is transgender rights. Republicans spent hundreds of millions of dollars on anti-trans ads this election cycle, including one that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender-reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people. And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about the drama on Capitol Hill because the sparks are flying due to the fact that South Carolina GOP representative, Republican woman, Nancy Mace has come out and said that she does not want to share a bathroom with a transgender woman. Now, this comes as Sarah McBride from Delaware was elected into Congress. I believe that Sarah would be the first transgender woman to be elected into Congress. And that presents an interesting situation because presumably Sarah would be using the women's restroom. And Nancy Mace and others have come out and said, yeah, I'm uncomfortable with that, right? We're uncomfortable with that. We don't want that. And they have proposed a rule on Capitol Hill to basically ban it, right? To say, hey, transgender women cannot use the women's restroom. Okay, they can't do it. Now, Democrats and the liberal media, they're boohoo, whining, and crying about this. Of course, they're crying hate and bigotry. And in fact, you also have the local media as well, too, boohoo, whining, crying hate and bigotry over this. Take a look.
The social issues weren't the big concern for voters. It was about the price of eggs. Republicans banked on pocketbook issues winning the day, and they did. So what's the priority now for the Republican majority? Not that. South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace is introducing a measure to require members and other congressional staffers to use the bathroom corresponding to their genders at birth. Why now? Why, after 236 years of Congress getting by without legislating who goes where? Because Delaware just elected Sarah McBride, who will be the country's first transgender member of Congress. So a member of Congress is targeting one person, her future colleague, with legislation. Trans issues are a thorny one for voters. I get it. It's not an easy thing for everyone to absorb. But we've also learned that making people fear the unknown or the unfamiliar works. Trans bathroom bills were once about protecting kids in school bathrooms from predators. But Sarah McBride has never been accused of such behavior. The same can't be said for some of Nancy Mace's colleagues, including one who's been under an ethics investigation but still may end up as Attorney General. The only thing the Congresswoman-elect is guilty of in the eyes of Nancy Mace is being different. And in the end, it doesn't do a damn thing for making life any better for American families or bringing down the cost of living or bringing down the cost of eggs. But it'll probably get her a lot of FaceTime on cable news, and in modern-day politics, that's often what it's all about.
Yeah, so what you have here is the left-wing liberal media trying to essentially create this narrative that the GOP's priorities are out of place. What I would argue that, first and foremost, the Republicans aren't officially in power, right? They aren't the majority yet, okay? The new members haven't been seated yet. Trump's cabinet picks haven't been completed yet, including his economic cabinet. Also on top of that, this conversation came up due to the fact that the House rules in regards to how they're going to conduct themselves in the next legislative session, that actually is up for debate. Okay, that actually is coming up. They actually do need to decide on that. So it is a pertinent conversation, right? It is a relevant conversation right now. And Nancy Mace, as a woman, feels like, hey, we need to address this in the House rules. Now, whether you agree or disagree, okay, to say that the GOP's priorities are out of line because they campaign on economic issues, but yet they're just focusing on these social issues, again, it's extremely misleading considering how the GOP can't do anything at all about economic issues right now until they have the majority. But the new House rules for the next legislative session, yeah, that actually is a priority right now, right? Like that's actually a thing that they have to work on right now before the new Congress comes in. Again, it's just hilarious how these people are desperately trying to get a gotcha on the GOP when it comes to this whole trans issue thing, right? The whole social issues where they're trying to say that, well, the GOP campaign, they're the ones that campaign on the social issues, not Democrats, right? This is what they're trying to do, okay? And it's just funny because this liberal reporter in this interview is going to try to pull the same card on Nancy Mace. Your priorities are out of order. And Nancy Mace is going to go off on this woman. And it's pretty hilarious. But there's a whole lot of politics going on here that I want to talk about. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, BioTrust. Countless Americans will waste time, energy, and money trying to reduce wrinkles on their skin because they're missing the real problem, which is the decrease in their natural collagen reserves. Let me explain. Scientists have found that after the age of 20, your body produces 12% less collagen with each decade. If you experience an excess of sagging skin or wrinkles for your age, you may be collagen deficient. Plus, knowing you should supplement collagen is not enough. You need the right type of quality collagen to have the best chance of reducing the appearance of aging. This is why I use this amazing new collagen mixture to rejuvenize and to revitalize my skin. Unlike typical collagen supplements found on store shelves, this is highly effective because it combines the top 5 critically important types of collagen for skin health. It's formulated to help reduce visible signs of aging, reduce wrinkles, promote a youthful glow, promote elasticity, and promote skin hydration. If you want to do your skin a favor, get it today while it's 51% off only at healthwithpatriot.com. Plus, if you order today, you'll get free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, a free new ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping. Once again, that is healthwithpatriot.com, or simply just click the link in the description below.
Congresswoman, America is facing a lot of challenges right now. There are wars overseas. We were just talking earlier in our program about Ukraine and Russia. There's an immigration system that needs fixing. I know you've talked about that. Everyday people are struggling to buy a house, pay for groceries, and especially in your neck of South Carolina in the Palmetto State. I saw yesterday that Boeing is laying off several hundred employees at the beginning of the year. I'm sure that's going to impact some of your constituents. Why do you think your constituents want you to focus on this bathroom resolution and not their jobs that were just potentially lost at Boeing?
Do you really think that women in Congress can't walk and chew gum at the same time? Like, you're going to insult me and say that.
Congresswoman,
I can't work on multiple issues.
I did not say that.
Let you know for the,
I looked at your social media and I did not see anything about Boeing. Have you put out a statement about Boeing?
I have filed almost 100 bills since I became a member of Congress. Women can do more than one thing at once. I'm going to protect women.
Of course we can.
I'm going to protect jobs. I'm going to call out Republicans and Democrats alike when they do stupid things like spend more than we can afford. Both Republicans and Democrats are the reason that inflation is so high today. I'm not going to be insulted by your left-wing talking points.
Congresswoman, I am giving you the chance to address the Boeing layoffs here. Have you posted anything about that? Have you made any comments about that publicly? What are you going to do for your constituents about that? I looked on your social media. I did not see anything regarding the Boeing layoffs, and I'm sure that is going to impact people in the Palmetto State in South Carolina.
You are incredulous and so insulting to women. Number one, it was just announced yesterday. And before I make a comment on any company's position or firing their employees, I'm going to get all the facts and understand what's really going on so I don't shoot from the hip prematurely. It's just like when the monkeys were released 2 weeks ago by Alpha Genesis Lab, again in my district. I had a meeting with the CEO before I commented publicly. It's really, I think, important to be deliberative when it comes to people who are going to lose their jobs. It's important to get the facts before commenting on something prematurely. I think my voters and my constituents deserve that. I will tell you, no one will work harder than I will for South Carolina. I have brought tens of millions of dollars in resources to my district because people need them, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's women's issues, whether it's cybersecurity. I sit on the Oversight Committee, work on a lot of cybersecurity issues. I have worked diligently 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and nothing some left-wing journalist like you can say will stop me from working hard for the people of South Carolina.
Congresswoman, looking ahead at this bathroom resolution, have you received any commitment from Speaker Johnson that the resolution will receive a vote?
And look at you, right back to bathrooms. You want to talk about policy. So yes, on Monday I spoke to the speaker.
Well, we're just trying to figure out what's going to happen
next.
And he
said that no, you want to criticize me for this bill and say that's the only thing I can focus on, and yet that's the only thing you can focus on in your interview. Stop being a hypocrite. Wow. Speaker Mike Johnson promised that it would be in the House rules package. If it is not, I'm prepared to have an amendment, put forth an amendment to ensure that women on the Hill are protected. And if that's not successful, I will force a vote through a privileged motion. I want to force my colleagues to put their policy on the record. Do women have rights or do they not?
Okay, well, we will be on the lookout for that. South Carolina
I bet
Congresswoman Nancy Mace, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. Thanks for making my point.
Yeah. Yo, Nancy Mace, low key, I don't necessarily agree with her pulling the feminist card, right? Just out of principle, right? But I do find it hilarious that she's doing it on the left, right? When it comes to this issue, because essentially the feminist card is basically a shield, okay? Because the Democrats are going to say, you're hateful and you're bigoted, right? And then she can turn around and say, no, you're hateful and you're bigoted, right? Which, again, I just find to be genius, right? That's how she's essentially shielding herself from criticism. She's using a left-wing tactic against them, right? Which, again, is hilarious, right? It's really funny to think about. But what she said there at the end is, I think, what's actually going on here in the sense that, personally, the resolution to this is easy, right? Hey, you just got to use gender-neutral restrooms. That's it. Boom. If you're trans, hey, either use the restroom that is aligned with your biological sex, or you can use the gender-neutral restrooms. I'm pretty sure Capitol Hill has plenty of them. And if they don't, hey, they waste a lot of money on things. Maybe they could, toss a few $1,000s at building some gender-neutral restrooms, and that's it, right? Therefore, you don't have anything to complain about, except they will complain about something no matter what, right? Because this is how Democrats operate, okay? They're going to complain no matter what, okay? Unless they get their way. And that's kind of the whole point. The whole point really is to get Democrats to go on record in regards to where they stand on this issue. Because remember, before Kamala Harris got into the race, right? Actually, let's go back maybe 1 year, 2 years ago. Democrats were fully on board when it came to the far left social issues, right? They were fully on board. You'd be hard pressed to find any Democrat that disagreed with the far left social issues, right? However, all of a sudden, they have changed on that, particularly during Kamala Harris's campaign, in which you had Democrats running away from the issue. Kamala didn't really talk about it at all. Although, again, she had a history of talking about it during her first failed run for president. You had other Democrats who, before in the past, had supported the far left social issues, they also were running away from it as well too. They also now came out and started pretending, nah, I didn't really support all this stuff, right? I wasn't on board with this, right? This is what they were doing. The reason why is because it is clear how the American people feel on these far left social issues. They don't agree with the left. So essentially what is happening is that the Republicans are making the Democrats actually go on record and to state to the American people, where are you guys? Where are you on this issue? Do you support the far left social issues, right? Or are you going to meet Americans where they are on this issue, which is that they don't agree? That's what's happening here. That's exactly what's happening. So they're probably going to force some tough votes on Democrats when it comes to this issue, because again, Democrats are currently trying to run away from it, right? This is like basic politics, okay? Politics 101. Make your opponent go on record and state whether or not they agree or disagree with something that is unpopular. If Democrats get on board with the Republicans, if they actually, agree with the American people, right, on this issue, then that will upset the far left. And the Democrats will have to deal with the backlash from the far left. But if Democrats go on record and state that they do agree with the far left social issues, then essentially that will be them confirming that, yeah, we're woke, right? And we do agree with all this stuff that the American people don't agree with, right? And again, that's the last thing that the Democrats want to do following getting their butts whooped in this election by the Republicans. And they are convinced that this issue played a key role in their defeat. So that's what's happening here, right? There's some 4D chess, okay? I mean, it's not even really 4D chess. It's just really basic politics, honestly, going on here. And I want you guys to understand, the Republicans are trying to put the Democrats between a rock and a hard place. And it's kind of hilarious to watch the Democrats squirm, because they're going to have to actually come out and figure out exactly where they stand on this issue. You can't thread the needle on this. You either agree with the American people or you don't. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.